Dayna Martin is an author and peaceful parenting advocate, spreading the message of freedom and children's rights. Author of the books Radical Unschooling, A Revolution Has Begun, and Sexy Birth. She's been featured on the Dr. Phil Show, Nightline, 60 Minutes, The Jeff Probst Show, and most recently, ABC's hit show, Wife Swap. Her articles, videos, and TV appearances have helped thousands of families on their path to live with more freedom, peace, and joy. We hear words like rebellion and chalk it up to normalcy. But what if there was nothing to rebel against? What if we lived with the same respect for our children that we demand they have for us? What if we could recognize that punishments model injustice, and that through using power to control another person, we are teaching them to do the same? It is through loving, kindness, and understanding that children learn love and peace, and in turn will reflect this back on the world. Respecting children's rights and freedoms is a revolutionary approach to parenting and education. This is a parenting philosophy on the leading edge of new thought, yet it is rooted in instinctual wisdom. Our culture needs to realize that living with respect and freedom with our children is the most responsible way to create a peaceful world.
Hello, good evening. This is Dayna Martin coming to you live from Madison, New Hampshire. Oh, this week was such a good week. Got so much done that I wanted to get done. I have a yearly conference that happens normally every April. This year it's going to be in June, and it's called the Life Rocks Unschooling Conference. I kind of organized it last minute this year. I originally wasn't going to do it because I had run so many different conferences this year. I felt a little stretch for time in regards to being there for my kids, but we found a way to make it work. We made the conference half as long and more affordable for people, and the hardest part was finding a location. We've had it at the same place year after year, but this year I wanted to try something in the outdoors, and we connected with this one place called Purity Spring, and they seemed okay at first. And then as I got closer and people started calling to make reservations, something changed it didn't exactly change. I guess I just didn't know about it. They were being disrespectful to kids and teens that were calling, and it really upset me. So I contacted the owner and I talked about it with him, and he said that he wasn't comfortable with kids or teens calling to make reservations, and that he wanted the freedom to discipline our children at the conference as they saw fit. And I was like, no, that's not something that's going to be okay with us. Our kids are used to respect and freedom, and they want to be treated with the same respect that adults have. And they were not willing to give our kids the same respect that adults have. So I was blown away with the response by this particular resort. But at the same time, I was really grateful because shortly after I decided not to have it there, I got a call from the hotel that we've been using in the past, and they have a sister property which has a lot of outdoor space. It's gorgeous. It's called Fox Ridge, and they were so respectful. They're totally on board with this philosophical perspective of unschooling and partnership parenting, and they're so respectful to our kids that attend this event. So we found the perfect location. Before I have an event anywhere, I've co-hosted events in different parts of the world and in Texas, and we've taken a cruise to Bermuda. Like anytime I'm working with any kind of company, I talk to them about this philosophy. I want to get everybody that's going to be interacting with our group on board with partnership parenting and respect and peace. And I've always had a wonderful experience with that, and they love our group. So if you're interested in attending the Life Rocks Unschooling Conference, it's June 2nd through the 6th in North Conway, New Hampshire. You can check out the website, liferocksconference.com. I just signed on an awesome speaker named Dr. Peter Gray. He is the keynote presenter for our event this year. He spoke at a conference that I ran in Texas, and was amazing. And I'm really excited to have him be the keynote presenter at Life Rocks this year. He wrote the book, Free to Learn, and he is a wealth of information. So if you're interested in connecting with other unschooling families and having a nice little vacation, connect with me and we'll make it happen for you up here in New Hampshire. So that was one big thing that we took care of this week, which felt great. My kids are so excited. I think they're more excited for Life Rocks than Christmas every year. They can't wait to connect with their friends. And we have something called the Renegade Bazaar, where we encourage young entrepreneurship. So we have tables set up where kids can sell their wares or offer their services. We love to encourage young entrepreneurs, and it's such a great place to do it. It's one of my highlights of the event, actually. We also have a dance, and we have something called Mad Science coming, a performer who does science-based tricks and so forth. So we're excited about that. Well, my other aspect of this week is my raw food business has been going really well. My partner in the business and my best friend, Christina Cretella, she is going to be on the show tonight. And I'm really looking forward to having her part of it. Last week, her daughter, Xavier, was on the show with Devin, if you caught that. Xavier is an amazing photographer and so creative. And we've known their family for several years. And so I'd love to introduce Christina to you now. Hey, Christina.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm so excited to be on the show.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here. It's I can't stop smiling even hearing your voice. We have been friends for how long now?
Maybe going on 5 years. I want to say 4, 5. First Life Rocks.
Yeah, the first Life Rocks was in 2011, I believe.
Okay.
And I remember seeing you. I was introduced to you by a mutual friend, and you were saying that you were going to. Well, for the people listening, I'm pretty candid sometimes. I'm a birth junkie, and I'm a breastfeeding counselor, so you are going to hear me talk about things that might shock some people, but you were going to pump your milk, and I was like, well, where's your baby? I was like, where's your baby?
Right.
And you blew my mind with what you told me.
Yeah, so I have been a gestational surrogate, and I've carried babies for 3 couples. I use an egg donor, so it's gestational. I've done it for gay couples, and it's just been the most incredible experience.
Ever since when you started telling me about, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, when you told me about that for the first time, I was so blown away with you as a person. I mean, you're unschooling your 2 girls, and you're a surrogate, and I just instantly was attracted to you as a friend. Like, I was like, this girl is something special. I think it was your second surrogacy.
Right, yes, it was. So yeah. That was a set of twins, and I've had 2 sets of twins.
It just blows me away because when you're pregnant, you're so like, when I was pregnant, I gained like 85 pounds. I couldn't do much. You were like, oh my gosh, you were working right up to the last day and eating some.
It's the big reason I do it, because I just love to be pregnant. I'm just like this pregnant superhero. My body feels better pregnant than it does not pregnant.
Wow. Well, if it wasn't for Joe wanting to be done after 4, I think I'd probably have like 6 more kids. I definitely would have kept going. I love being pregnant, but I just get really big for some reason. Although I would have loved to have been pregnant again and been, had the raw food diet during my pregnancy, just out of curiosity, just to see the difference in my weight gain and the pregnancy itself. So yeah. Christina and I have been business partners for about 1.5 years. We decided to go into business together. We both have a passion for raw foods. Christina actually inspired me. She was one of my biggest inspirations when I first started with raw foods. And our stories are really interesting, how we both came to this life. Now, raw food, Christina, can you explain to the listeners what raw food is and the benefits of a raw food diet?
Sure. The basics of raw foods is that foods that haven't been cooked have enzymes that are still living, and enzymes control all the functions of our body, mainly digestion. So basically, foods that haven't been cooked sort of digest themselves or make your body assimilate the nutrients much faster. Something like 70% of the nutrients are lost during cooking. So eating fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds that are raw, sprouted, living, give our bodies more nutrients and more energy and digest simpler. Digestion is the function in our body that just wastes the most energy or uses up the most energy. So you notice when you go raw and you're eating mostly raw foods, you just have more energy and you don't need as much sleep. That's the basis of the raw food diet.
I was so blown away when it took me, I think I lost 50 pounds in my first 6 months of being raw. And it blew my mind with how much better I felt. I was more connected with my passions. I wrote my book, Sexy Birth, in 2 weeks. I was just so in alignment with accomplishing all of my goals quicker, and I was just clearer. I think it's been so different for both of us. I went from the standard American diet to raw food almost overnight. And I've taken a couple of back steps over the last 2 years here and there, I think under times of stress. Or when I traveled, I always felt uncomfortable asking people to serve me raw food, so I would just eat whatever they had. I never wanted to put anyone out. That's part of my growth, I guess you could say, because now I'm feeling more confident about taking responsibility for really letting people know my diet. Do you find it hard to travel and eat raw?
Yeah, more because I want to experience like the culture, especially if I'm traveling, or I want to research every vegan restaurant out there. So when I travel, I like to visit a lot of different vegan places and order what I would call naughty vegan food, which to, people who eat the standard American diet, it's probably healthy food.
Right.
So yeah, I do. I hardly ever am 100% raw while traveling. Definitely.
Yeah, it's a challenge, but it's definitely worth it. I think I've gotten more confident in asserting myself and really getting clear. I think because I was anorexic for 3 years of my life from the age of around 17, 18, and 19, and a little bit when I was 20, I triggered some of those really extreme emotions when I became raw. I felt really guilty when I'd eat something cooked. There was so much negative in it for me that I've grown through. But at the time, I think it was really healing for me to experience that and say it's okay to eat cooked food. I mean, now I'm really relaxed about it. But part of my journey to raw food for the first, year maybe, was such a healing experience. I was able to process some past emotions surrounding food. And now I feel like I'm back in a place where I'm starting over. And you and I are both attempting to be 100% raw this month.
Yeah, I just always find it much easier to do in the spring and summertime. So yeah, for the month of April and hopefully all the spring and summer, I'm going to go 100%. And my favorite raw food way to eat is 80-10-10, which is also a book by Dr. Doug Graham. And it's eating 80% carbs, 10% fat, and 10% protein. And I just always feel the best. The biggest mistake people make, I think, in eating raw foods or eating 80-10-10 is not eating enough. Because people are so used to doing a diet where it's not a diet. So say eating 80-10-10, I might, like for this morning, I had 10 oranges for breakfast.
Oh my gosh.
Today I made this salad that was like a salad bowl that would probably feed a family of 12, eating a regular dinner. So people don't realize how much food you need to eat when you're eating this way to maintain, your brain working correctly and get the right amount of nutrients.
I think
so
that was
lots of veggies.
Right. I think that was my downfall, actually, because I wasn't eating enough. I was making some great foods and really enjoying it, but I wasn't eating enough. So now, and I think this is like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. This is like a lifestyle choice. It's not just diet. It really affects every bit of your life. And I'm excited about going at it with your support and doing it without starving myself accidentally this time. I just would eat so little. Now this is gonna work for me this time, and not like I was never never raw. There was always components of my life that were raw, but I would slip back into kind of lazy eating. Mm-hmm. Before we go any further about raw food, I always do this portion of the show when I start out about parenting in the news, and I wanted to do this with you on because this is just so funny.
Okay,
we were laughing about this, you and I, earlier, but so somebody contacted me yesterday. This girl named Emily, a friend of mine from Guam who's listening right now. And Emily sent me an article that talked about a new parenting style that might be more than a fad. And it goes on to talk about what is written about twilight parenting. And it says it's a rapidly growing movement that came out of a book called Parenting from Dawn Till Dusk. When I first read that, I'm like, yes, oh my gosh, people are finally getting it. Because back to like even 10 years ago, I had this attachment parenting online store. It was like a cafe press store, and I came up with some quotes, and one of them was, I'm a parent even when the stars are out. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of people just put their babies to sleep in a crib, and they don't really interact at all. They don't parent until the child wakes up to eat or till the next morning, where I've always taken pride in being with my kids through the night. So it's like you parent twice as long as the average parent. So anyway, I'm reading this going, wow, people are getting it. This is awesome. And they're coming up with all different ideas with your kids at night. It says, between time changes and teething, there are several reasons why your toddler might be having trouble sleeping. Rather than getting upset about your personal sleep loss, a growing movement of parents believe that the twilight hours are an opportunity for bonding. And I'm like, yes, oh my gosh, this is awesome. I'm reading on about flashlight scavenger hunts late at night, late night cooking, and I'm like, yep, we always cook late at night. This is awesome. And I'm reading about, all different aspects of parenting at night. And then at the end of the article, I noticed that it's an April Fool's joke. I'm reading about this going, oh my gosh. So I'm all excited about this new trend in parenting, which is in alignment with our philosophy of unschooling peaceful partnership-based parenting, but it's literally an April Fool's joke by the Huffington Post. Well, I didn't know what to think of it. My friend Emily wrote to me going, oh, it's an April Fool's joke. Oh my gosh, can you believe it? Which puts a whole new spin in it. What do you think about our type of parenting, Christina, being a joke?
Yeah, that's pretty funny, but who knows? Maybe a couple people read that and said, hey, this doesn't sound like it's that crazy.
All I could think of is, like, whoever wrote it, like, saw me on the Bethany show about...
It probably did spark the author. Yeah, the actual unschooling sparked the author.
That is so interesting. I'd love to contact her just to find out, but... Yeah, so it was a joke. However, if anybody read anything in that article and found it inspiring and they want to actually make it be the reality, you can contact me and I'll help get you started with this Twilight parenting. Hey, you should buy that URL.
Yeah, it's something I kind of struggle with, like, what times that we don't live in mainstream time, really, and it's hard. Sometimes we might want to go to a class or something that starts at 9 a.m., but we went to bed at 4 a.m. because we were being creative all night long.
I know. It can be, it has pros and cons, doesn't it? Because we love to share about the positives of this life, and there's many, but there are the cons of co-ops and a lot of homeschooling groups. Other activities are so early that when your children are following a natural sleep cycle and your teens they're not getting up until noon or 1.
Right.
I think these are the times when you can start your own meetup groups when your kids show an interest and be able to offer that later in the day for people that are living this life.
Definitely.
So yeah, well, thanks for the laugh sharing that with me. So our raw food business is called Rock Stars. You can visit our website by typing in RAWK, Rock, Stars, STARZ.com. Christine and I started a business as personal chefs, and we also offer classes about raw food. So we've gone into people's homes. Where have we been, Christina? We've been to New York.
To Vermont.
Yeah.
We love to do it as a road trip, so if you're anywhere in New England, we would love to come visit you. But then we've done a lot locally. We did in Conway.
Right. Yeah, it's been an amazing adventure just to create a business out of just our passion. And we didn't even use a framework. We just came together as friends. And that's something I've always loved about you, Christina, is when you and I get together, we're not the typical friends that would like go out to a bar drinking and hang out and gossip. That's just not how we roll. We get together. And we're entrepreneurs. We sit down with a notepad and brainstorm on what we can do together to bring this philosophy, both parenting and food-wise, to other people. And gosh, remember that time on my porch where we spent like 2 hours brainstorming?
Yeah.
It was
we were just trying to do something simple. I think we were planning on just adding something small to Rock Stars, like offering a new dish or something maybe we were going to work on. But it ended up going on and on and on, and we expanded so far as to having an intentional community of raw foods and healing centers, and we have big ideas.
And anybody listening, do you ever have a friend that when you're together, it's like electric, and you just jazz each other up, and you have so much energy when you come together? It's amazing, and that's how Christine and I operate. Yeah, and I love doing the classes with you. We have so much fun. But we came together through our common lifestyle of unschooling our kids. Now, what about your kids? Have they always been unschooled?
No, they haven't always been unschooled. I just didn't know about it when they were very young. I was also very young. I had my daughter Xavier when I was 18 years old. And she just went to preschool because I thought that was my only choice. I lived in a big city, Springfield, Massachusetts, where I didn't feel that the school system was safe. So I put her into a private school because I thought that was my choice, private or public, and wasted a ton of money, and she hated it and I hated it. But we kind of just suffered along that way until she was in the 3rd grade. And Ellie, my younger daughter, she's 12 now, but she was just getting ready to go into kindergarten, and I kind of heard about homeschooling and researched it like a mad woman and pulled them out of school. So Xavier was maybe about 10 or 11, and Ellie was 5, and we did like sit at the table kind of homeschooling for a year, and that was really a big struggle. They hated it also, and I didn't like it very much either. So we kind of slipped into unschooling, not really knowing it was a thing until, a couple of years later. So I think that's how it came about.
Yeah, our kids have kind of, for the last couple of years, grown up together in a sense. I know Ellie and Tiffany, really good friends, and they had a lot of fun together. One thing that I like people to understand is unschooling does not mean that you're never doing anything schooly or you're never using school materials or utilizing school. In fact, it's not an anti-school mentality as much as it is like pro-choice mentality. So when a child chooses school, it's a totally different experience versus being forced to be in school. So when was it that didn't Ellie attend school for a couple weeks last year?
Right, yeah. It was maybe about a year ago. Ellie decided she wanted to go check out our local school. She was really feeling like she didn't have well, we had a homeschooling group here, and her closest friend moved to California. So it made her feel like she didn't really have friends locally to hang out with. So she thought she might make some if she went into the public school. So I enrolled her, and she went for 14 days. The first couple of days, she made a friend, a girl that she really liked, and she didn't mind the schoolwork. She kind of like, it was a lot. Every day she would come home and I'd have to help her study for the test for the next day, but she kind of thought it was fun at first. Going into the second week of it, this girl decided that she didn't want to be friends with her anymore, and she started ignoring her and kind of broke Ellie's heart, and she decided she didn't want to be there anymore.
What was it like, Christina, when Ellie first told you she wanted to go to school? Were you fearful? Were you cool with it? Like, what was your inner process through it?
Yeah, I was pretty terrified. I didn't want to be involved in it. I didn't want to have to change my schedule and work around the school schedule and live that life that I kind of knew about already because Xavier had been in it. Her sister didn't want her to do it. But we supported her. Even though it would not be my choice, I supported her, and I had this feeling that it might not last very long. I wanted it to be the best that she could get out of it, and I think it was the best she could get out of it. It was a good experience for her. 'Cause she did. She liked it for a few days, and yeah.
Well, I love that she had the real life experience to be able to like make a truly informed decision. Sometimes kids want to just see what it's like, and it's not like it is on TV. I think that's one thing that my daughter Tiffany and Devin, they thought school was like it was on TV, like Zoe 101. Tiffany was so into that show, and it looks so fun, and they're always, hanging out as friends and making up dances together and all this stuff. But the reality is, I don't know why they glamorize school so much through the media, but they do. Because the reality is nothing like that. And if my children ever decided to go to school, I would fully support them, but none of them do right now. Now, part of the unschooling life that we've lived together as friends, I love that we have community and that there's several of us that are connected all over New England. And as our children get closer and their friendships ebb and flow, we can support and facilitate their interests together as friends. So you and I have facilitated Devin and Xavier and their passions several times. I mean, we went to the Steampunk World Fair when they were both into steampunk. couple years
yeah,
ago.
that was so fun.
And I think our kids were the only teens there, really. I mean, I think there was a handful maybe of others, but they really were into it, and they enjoyed the experience so much. That was a pretty wild scene there. What else have we done?
Yeah, it's mostly adults.
I know, it was all adults.
That they drink absinthe, I think.
Yep.
Some old-fashioned liquor they drink, and we had these two teens exploring it all, and it was a good time.
Oh my gosh, do you remember you know what I'm going to say? This.
I do.
Oh my gosh. So I'll tell you guys this funny story. So we brought the kids to the Steampunk World Fair. Awesome, huge event. I think there was 2,000 to 4,000 people. It was in 2 hotels. It was incredible. Well, they had entertainment, several bands playing every single night. And we heard that this one band was playing, and the place was packed, this particular auditorium room. And we walked in the front row, in the front, sat down. As the band starts playing on, this girl just comes out and she starts dancing, and then we notice that she's taking her clothes off. And Devin's sitting in front of me, and I could feel his discomfort, absolutely mortified that this is happening. And he says, we noticed, she didn't strip down to nothing, but it was definitely what would you call that? It was
burlesque. It was burlesque dancing. So
it was burlesque. And the music was amazing, and the dancing was really cool and classy, and so I would have hung in there and stayed till the end, and Devin just kind of got up and said he was uncomfortable, and he left. Mm-hmm. But I'll never forget that Devin saw his first stripper with his mom.
Yeah. That's great.
You guys stayed for the whole thing. Devin left, and I followed him, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. I had no idea that was going to happen. He said, it's okay. It's no big deal. I just was uncomfortable, and I said, okay. So living side by side with your children in partnership, sometimes things happen like that.
Yeah. A little bit rougher for a teen boy. I think Xavier, she thought it was kind of beautiful, and she was inspired to do some partial nude photos after that, which was okay with me.
Yeah, I think that's pretty incredible. I was looking at Xavier's art, and one thing I mentioned last week is that, she's growing as an artist, and she's expressing herself through her art. And there was a recent controversial photo up there that I was kind of following the thread to. And I was so amazed with Xavier's grace and how she handled that situation. Yeah. And I really think that anytime you're an individual and you're out there allowing yourself to be seen for who you are, you attract a lot of positive, but you do attract negative too, and it just comes to the territory. So I love that Xavier is such a strong person, such a strong soul, that she didn't waver from her belief in her art. And yeah, I'm just really impressed with how she handled all that.
Yeah, I'm really amazed by her and learn so much from her all the time. I love the way she pushes boundaries with her art, and it really makes people shocked a little bit sometimes. And that's okay. That's what really good art should do. So yeah, I really love how her photos went from taking pictures of her friends to really fine art photography. And the other day she did a music video. I was just shocked. It was so awesome. Yeah, she's a pretty special artist.
It is mind blowing, how different it is in my experience that how unschooling parents support their children through any of their passions and interests. It's not the case for most kids who are being raised conventionally by parents. When I was on Wife Swap, there was the first evening that I was there, Jory, the son, knocked on my door and asked me to come out and check out what he was doing. He wanted to show me something, and he pulled up a video of him, a video of somebody rapping, and it was amazing, and the video was incredible, and he said, that's me. And he said, I can't let my mother know that I'm doing this because I'll get in a lot of trouble. She doesn't know it. She would not be supportive. And I was almost in tears. It was such an amazing, the amount of work that went into this. And he said, you asked me on camera about my passions and interests, and I couldn't be totally honest because I didn't want my parents to find out that I was a rap star, kind of in secret. And it just hit me how sad that is, that he could not be who he was around his parents. So I think with a lot of conventional type of parenting, kids kind of become two different people.
Sure.
Did you notice that growing up?
Yeah, definitely. And it's incredibly sad because moreover than the kid losing out, the parents losing out on such an amazing experience and learning opportunity and sense of pride. Just just to be proud about everything your child does and not, censor it.
Did you get any criticism for Xavier's art? I mean, did anybody write to you or say anything, or has anyone ever mentioned anything?
Yeah, well, this week, she had this music video I was talking about. She's smoking in it. And I had a couple of people message me and ask me if she smokes. And she doesn't smoke cigarettes recreationally. And I would probably be pretty, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't tell her not to, but I just know she wouldn't because she knows of health things. And but she has done it for photos in this video. So yeah, we just use natural tobacco and totally fine. So I got a couple people about that, and I just told them that she doesn't do it. It was just for art. And I had a family member, Xavier, this past Christmas, did some prints of some of her photos, and her godmother kind of made a funny face when she was gifted this present. And so that was kind of hurtful. And then later on, she sent a very long email how the photo was her kind of in the woods. And it was like her bare back. And this family member thought it was inappropriate and sent us emails about it, and it was just kind of silly.
I know which photo you're talking about. I love that photo, actually.
Yeah, so that happened, and yeah, it's her favorite piece, so she gave it to one of her favorite people. So it was kind of sucky that she got that reaction. But she got over it. It's just, let everybody live and love, and is what it is.
Exactly. I mean, I think obviously we're pretty public with our lives, so the controversy and criticism that we've had has been going on for 7 years or 8 years now, and I'm used to it. But there's times where I'm really taken aback by family who criticize us for letting Devin play with fire, for example.
Right.
That he started playing with fire when he was 3 years old, and it's led to blacksmithing and fire twirling and so many amazing things for him that I can't even imagine ever being so fearful that I wouldn't let him be who he was. So I think it takes great courage to parent this way, and it takes huge amounts of self-confidence. I think that's one of the biggest things that I have noticed. I connected with somebody recently at Ivy's gymnastics class, and she was saying how much she admired this parenting. Like, I have an overwhelming positive response to how we're doing things. People are so interested. They're so supportive, yet they just think it's something just crazy confident people do, and that they could never do it. And I like to say to them that this confidence has grown over the years. I haven't always been this confident, and I'm not in a state of perfection with it all the time. But I want people to know that you can do this. It doesn't take anything more than being self-confident. But in our culture, when we've been broken down, especially as women, from the moment we were little girls, it's really hard to build that back up. But I'd say that self-confidence and trust in our kids, innate goodness, is something so rare.
Right, absolutely.
So, Christina, we have traveled together. We've also been to Puerto Rico.
Yes, that was a fabulous adventure.
We had so much fun, and I love how easy things just come together, and I love that our lives are so free because we work for ourselves, and our kids aren't part of any institution that I literally can say to you, hey, you want to go to Puerto Rico? And you're like, yeah, sure. No problem.
Right, yes.
Okay, when is it?
Yeah, next week.
Exactly. So we went to Puerto Rico, and I did an unschooling event there, which was extremely positive. We connected with several awesome people. Franca, who hosted us for the whole event, was such an amazing person.
She is such a beautiful, amazing person.
I cannot wait to see her again and go back there. But we met Sky Juice, who is a raw food chef and advocate in Puerto Rico. She really was inspirational to me. She catered my unschooling event, and I learned a lot from her. And we did, you guys did the bioluminescent bay. I was too chicken to go in. Oh,
that was one of the best moments of my life. It was so
I love seeing you guys enjoy it.
Yeah, you were there.
Well, one thing that not a lot of people know about me is I have a fear of the ocean. I'm not afraid of lakes, and I'm not afraid of pools, obviously. But I'm really afraid of the ocean. And I think it was from being a young girl and having an incident in Florida where I got stung by a Portuguese man-o-war when I was probably 8 years old. And I didn't want to go in the ocean. And my parents talked me into it. They kept saying, there's nothing that's going to hurt you. Just come in. And I said, I'm really happy just here in the pool watching everybody have fun. I can have just as much fun experiencing other people's fun. I'm just always been that type of person that sometimes likes to sit in the back and observe people, and I'm kind of quiet in that way. Although I do a lot of things publicly, personality-wise, I can be really shy. And so I've always been really happy just watching people have fun. And they finally talked me into going in the water, and I wasn't even up to my knees, and a Portuguese man-o-war hit my leg and wrapped itself around me, and I blacked out. I don't remember much of anything. I almost died from the experience, and ever since then I've been petrified. But that's something you and I didn't talk about. And when we were in Puerto Rico, we went to this island.
Right. I really didn't know that about you before that.
I know, and it was a private island. Wasn't that awesome? We had a whole island just to ourselves with our 2 families in Franca.
It was incredible.
And everyone was jumping in this little lagoon, and Christina's like, come on in. And I'm like, oh, actually, I'm really afraid of the ocean, and I don't want to go in. You were so supportive, and I did jump in really quick and get out, but I've always been fearful. I went in when we were in Australia, and we went to the Great Barrier Reef. My friend Marie supported me and, talked me into going in because she knew I really wanted to, and that was an amazing experience. But the oceans just freaks me out, man.
I get it.
So anyway, that was an amazing experience. We've been to Disney at Christmas together, which was a nightmare.
Yes. It was supposed to be magical. Disney at Christmas? Who doesn't want to do that? At least we can say we did that. Disney at Christmas.
Exactly. And we will never do it again.
Yeah.
Disney at Christmas sounds amazing. Reality. Well, I think the weather was so crappy too. It was rainy and cold
and I had no idea there were so many people at Disney World on Christmas Day that you couldn't even get into all the parks. So you could only, get into certain parks. So many people.
It was absolutely packed. I mean, an entirely different experience than going, during slower seasons. So we experienced it. See, we've been through major ups and downs together, girl, haven't we?
We sure have.
One thing I love about our friendship, through it all, we've always managed to maintain a connection and just an unconditional love for one another. And we've been through a lot. I mean, where we both do what we do, we're kind of on the fringe, and you're a success in what you do and an entrepreneur, and you're involved with a lot of people between the surrogacy and working for Good Karma Cafe when you have been. And through all of it, we've supported each other unconditionally. We've never had any jealousy issues, any issues of when we get together, it's like this real connection. We've never got together and gossiped or had any negative, bitch fests.
Yeah.
And I love that. I just think that friendships thrive on positivity and honesty. And one of the reasons why is because I've always completely trusted you, because you're not that type of person. If you have a friend that gossips and talks bad about other people when they're around you, you can pretty much guarantee they're doing it to you too.
Right.
That's one of my
right.
things I notice, and I just love our friendship.
Yeah, I've just never been into doing that or had a need for it.
No, I don't.
Have things to talk about without talking about other people.
Exactly. How did you find out about me? We met, and then I think the first time we...
Yeah, it was Life Rocks. It was just that someone had invited me to Life Rocks, and that's where I found out about you.
Another thing I love about our friendship and each other is that when I've done anything with the media or public, I love how you're like, oh, I didn't even see it yet. We don't even you don't even pay attention to that. You don't.
Yeah.
I don't even care about that aspect of me, and I love that because I love my advocacy, of course, but a lot of people kind of want to ride coattails or they want to connect with you, and they just it's not a connection based on somebody really liking me for me. It's because of the limelight or whatever. And even on a small scale with our little community, you attract a certain amount of that. And I love that you're just like, oh, you were on TV this week? Oh, okay. I didn't even know that.
Sorry. I just love you for the person you are. I'm totally in awe of you and all the things you do, but I forget you're famous. I always forget you're famous.
I'll never forget our time in New York when we were on Kathy's boat that night, and we're just just talking about how happy we were.
Right,
and,
yeah.
Like how lucky we are to be living our passions and just sitting in bliss together. So, yeah, it's an amazing, amazing life. But our raw food business, okay, rock stars. Now, Christine and I are in the process of, I keep saying we're in the process of writing a book.
It's already there.
It's done. We just have to do it.
Yeah, I wrote this great introduction, but all the recipes really are already here. You know, that not only are they in our heads, but we've written them down. We just have to organize it and put it out there for everyone.
I know it'll be easy to do. I love that you were kitchen manager at the Raw Food Expo in LA this year. Where was I during that? I forget. I was somewhere.
That was so much fun. Yep, so that was back in February. I just happened to be out in LA doing something else and saw that the Raw Food Expo was going on. This is the one where they do the Raw Food Awards for the year. It's kind of big and fancy, and so many people were there. So it was a lot of fun, and I just saw they were looking for volunteers, so threw it out there, said I was a raw food chef, and I became the kitchen manager.
That is so awesome. I was so happy for you. I love that you and I can celebrate each other's successes, and I feel, when I know you're doing something like that, I feel the success as if it was mine, like that same exact joy.
Oh, that's sweet, yeah.
I love feeling it. So knowing you were out there, and I had just met Marcus Rothkrantz, is that how you pronounce his last name?
Yep, Rothenkrantz, I think.
Rothenkrantz. Yeah. He spoke at an event that I hosted, and we had dinner together, and I think I was like the total geek through the whole dinner, I swear to God. I was so nervous to meet him because, like, if you're, like, into raw food, there's, like, raw food rock stars, you know? Like, there's people that you look up to, and you're like, oh, my God. Yeah. Like, and when I ever met him for the first time, I was so nervous because I just love his approach. It's really down to earth. His story is really amazing. Yeah. And he's his book really was amazing and really simple, but I gained a lot from it. So I wanted to be able to connect and have dinner together, and I was such a geek. I just had laid it on the table. I'm like, you know what? I'm just so nervous right now, and I don't know why. And he's like, oh, just relax. Let's get a cup of tea. And we talked, and I heard all about his life and how he has the same clothes designer as the people that design Steven Tyler from Aerosmith's clothes. And I think I just sat there with my mouth open the whole time, just in awe of this person, with the success that he has and the passion that he has for life. So anyway, Christina couldn't come. Where were you? You were giving birth to a baby or something.
Yeah, 9.5 months pregnant.
Xavier came and stayed with us, which was awesome. She was with us, but yeah, so I was alone when I was supposed to be having dinner with you and him. Mm-hmm. Joe was so sweet. He was so supportive. He's like, have a good time, have fun. And he took pictures of us. But, you know, once you get to know anybody, you realize that they're just people. And you just tend to put people on pedestals. But you got to meet Marcus as well.
I did, yeah. I absolutely love his story of how he found raw foods. He just, decided to, give up on this crazy rat race of a life and go out in the desert and just, either die or find something awake and, be enlightened. And he did go out in the desert and he ate off the land, finding wild edibles for months. So that's how one of his first books is all about wild edibles. And I love that idea. You can eat raw food for free. I tried to do a lot of that in the summer. So yeah, meeting him was really awesome. He did a great talk, very spiritual dude. Liked him a lot. My big fame was Fully Raw Christina. She's a big 80-10-10er and a huge popular girl on YouTube. So I met her there too. And of course the fabulous Mimi Kirk, who is in her late 70s now, I believe. And a raw foodist and gorgeous. She looks like she's 40.
That is one thing about raw food that blew my mind is, obviously the weight loss is a side effect of eating better, but the younging that happens, that's one of the terms used. I ended up looking 5 to 10 years younger within 6 months. I couldn't believe it when I look at myself in the mirror, how it reverses the hands of time.
Yeah, you really do look incredible. You look like you're 20.
Well, I appreciate it. I love it. And I'm excited to be back on board in a really good space to be able to be raw, 100% raw again, my goal. But You know, there's times where I might eat some rice or something. And anybody listening, it's so funny because when you're raw, it's like, okay, I might like totally just have cooked food, and it's like you're saying that you're going to eat a chocolate cake, you know?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward to whatever's in the future for you and I as advocates and friends. I really want to go to the Raw Food Expo, and you and I have talked about getting tables at different raw food events.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be really great. So at Life Rocks, at my conference, the second year of the conference, we had a raw Iron Chef competition. Wasn't that fun?
Oh, that was so much fun. We have to do that again. I can't wait.
I know. I don't know if we'll be able to do it this year with the days where the conference is a little shorter, but it was so much fun. Yes, it was. And it was you and I against each other, which made it fun, you know, and I had Jamie Bush as a partner, and you had Mary. Actually, I interviewed Mary and her daughter a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
And she was your partner. It was I was so excited I couldn't believe that we won, but I swear it's only because of Jamie's garnishing skills. I don't think the food was any better. Jamie was all about the garnish.
And that's very important. I mean, the look of the food is such a large percentage of the taste.
Well, that's one thing that I think that we are great at together, because you have skills like that. You always make food look great, and that's not my best skill. I don't think my raw food's quite as sexy looking as yours. Tastes good though, with all my salt. I made a raw chocolate bark today. Did you see the photo on Facebook?
Oh, it's gorgeous. Yes.
So easy. Oh my gosh, and it's so good.
It's like my recipe that I do chocolates for the cafe and everything.
It's probably saltier than yours, though, I bet.
I'm sure it is, yes.
I made an awesome raw pineapple upside down cake. That came out amazing. I can't wait for you to try that. And I have some raw chocolate crepes in the dehydrator right now.
Girl, you are rocking today.
I know, it's the weather. It's just like getting nicer, and it just is so inspiring.
Yes, today I built a bench for Sunbus. Like this whole cool couch sectional sort of bench.
Yeah, tell the listeners about this bus. Now, this is pretty amazing.
So I bought a school bus back in October to turn into a living space for my two girls and I. And we, have built everything we can possibly build inside. Like, we made bunk beds and a kitchen, and it's almost ready to roll. I just met this new electrician that's going to help me finish the electrical needs that I have and do a little bit of plumbing work. And then we are going to take off on this big magical bus and serve juices and smoothies and really fun vegan food to the country. Well, we hope to go to like fun festivals, music festivals, veg fests, and things like that. And it is called Here Comes the Sun Vegan Bus. And you can find that on Facebook, Here Comes the Sun Vegan Bus. And our very first big show is going to be at Life Rocks this year. I'm so excited to have my unschooling family to kind of send us off.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm so glad you're going to be there. Last year, you catered it for all the presenters, and you also had a smoothie bar set up at the conference, and that was really popular. People loved it. I don't even know how you kept up with everything.
Yeah, it was hard to keep up, and I only opened a couple hours a day when I could. And yeah, everybody loved it. Got a great response. So that was a big inspiration, to see that and say, hey, this can work. Girls and I can do this. It's just serving juices and smoothies, because they're so, energizing and just make people happy. Go out there and spread sunshine. That's our goal, and we kind of want to be in a warmer place. So we're going to head west. We have a lot of friends out in California and LA area. So we're going to spend some time there, and we're super excited about it. You can see pictures of our bus project and all the building we've done on our Facebook page. Here Comes the Sun Vegan Bus.
Great. We'll post that on my Facebook wall later so listeners can check it out. And, it seems like a lot of unschoolers have the dream to buy an RV or convert a bus and be able to travel. I think it's one of the awesome aspects of living this life is you don't need to answer to an institution. You don't have to ask permission from a school to be with your children on any other days other than holidays. You're just completely free to travel. And in my experience, my kids have learned so much through travel. It's amazing. And Devin and Xavier went to Peru.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How long? They were there for a long time. Wasn't that hard? Like,
it felt like years for me, but it was a couple months last summer. And yeah, it was very hard for them to be away.
It was so hard for me to like not be able to talk to Devin, and he wasn't all that great at keeping in touch. I mean, he did what he could, but I really wanted to hear details, and it was so hard just getting the "I'm great" kind of responses. But
right.
I kind of would hear through Xavier or through you. I'd say, "Have you heard from Xavier?" And I think Xavier kind of gave you a little more details than Devin.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to. Yeah. But I mean, when you have kids that are your best friends, you trust them and you want them to go off and experience life. But it was an emptiness in my heart not having Devin present. But at the same time, it was great. Just a little test for when he is off on his own exploring the world. But what are some of the coolest things you remember about Xavier sharing with you about Peru?
Let me see. Well, she absolutely loved being there. She was with Lainey. The greatest experience. That's kind of hard.
I love that they went to that, wasn't it? It's not a witch doctor. What do you call it? What was the guy?
The despacho.
Caesar. What was he?
It's called the despacho.
That looked amazing.
Yeah, that was her favorite experience for sure. I loved hearing about the food for me because, my life is about food. So she, and her being able to stay vegan and traveling to Peru where it was a little bit harder because fruits and vegetables have to be like washed in a certain way because you'd get sick from the water. But she did really well. She ate a lot of French fries to stay vegan. So that's what I liked hearing about from their trip.
I was impressed with how Xavier managed to stay vegan on a trip like that, and Devin, I think, lived on bread. But he always did when he was a toddler anyway. He always just wanted bread and crackers. Like, he's always been such a carb kid. Not so much
anymore. I was really impressed with their independence.
I mean, they were so confident. They just did it, and they went with a chaperone, I guess you could say, and they were with a couple people who were Christian who didn't go to the gazpacho ceremony because of their beliefs. So it was really interesting the balance that they found as a group to respect each other's beliefs, and the people that wanted to participate in certain things did, and the people that didn't. So I was impressed with their ability to kind of ebb and flow with that.
Yeah.
But what else do we have coming up in our lives?
Well, we have to work on that book. I'm super excited for Life Rocks. And then with Rockstars, we have just so many ways going with Rockstars. We do our classes. I've got a client right now having me do personal chef services for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So that's got me pretty busy. And I'm sure some gigs are going to come about for us very soon with Rockstars.
I know anytime we put focus on it, like I love that you can kind of control the busyness of the business when we have other things going on. It's kind of like our hobby, but it's a passion and a business as well. It's just like a really fun hobby / business that that we could, oh my gosh, it could be as huge as we wanted it to be.
Right.
We're never in a state of needing more business or having to grow it or having to advertise. Like whenever we just put the combined focus on it, no, it just happens and it becomes, we've talked about products. Like I love that idea. I know how much effort it will take from both of us, and you're lining up for another surrogacy here soon, right? Next month?
I am, yes. I'm hoping to get pregnant for this fabulous gay couple who live in London. On May 3rd is going to be the transfer date for me to get pregnant again. So I've started meds for that, and yeah, that's coming up.
So what is that like when you meet the couple for the first time that want you to carry their baby? What is that like?
Well, there's been, I get a profile or some kind of contact before we actually meet, but it's just always been perfect. It's been kind of like meeting your husband or something, it's just kind of been like great matches, like love at first sight kind of thing. And I've just been lucky to have that. I worked with this fabulous agency called Growing Generations that specializes in working with gay couples. If anybody out there listening is interested in becoming a surrogate, please private message me on Facebook and I'll get you started with Growing Generations because they're amazing. But this time I am not going with the agency. I'm doing it privately. So they were friends of one of my other couples. So that maybe helped because we all knew each other a little bit before. These two guys, I kind of heard about their previous journey. They have a 2-year-old that they had with a different surrogate. So I kind of had been hearing about them for a few years, and they're just special. They're like us, and our family has just grown through this so that Xavier and Ellie kind of feel like they have these surrogate dads, or they're just kind of like cool uncles and brothers and sisters that we get to, stay in contact with.
I've loved the guys. They've introduced me to the Australian couple. They came to Life Rocks.
Right, yeah. Michael and Paul were at Life Rocks last year or the year before that. Must have been the year before that.
Yeah, they were great. Such nice guys. And when they stayed with you, it is like one big family, isn't it? And the girls have learned so much as a side effect of you making this choice to do this. I was so impressed with Xavier. Just feels like they're, siblings in a sense, or like nieces and nephews, and your girls are so fortunate to have that experience.
Right. It's definitely an unconventional family, but it's our chosen family, so that's why they're so special. So I have 2 sets of twins that are going to be turning 5 this summer. Not 2 sets, a set of twins that live in Norway, and they're going to be turning 5 this summer. That just blows my mind.
Wow.
The other ones, twins, boy-girl twins in Boston, just turned 3.
Yeah, and didn't you buy them one of Joe's kitchens, one of our Willow Toys kitchens?
Yeah, for their 2nd birthday last year. Yeah. They have that in their rooms. They love Joe's kitchen. And then I just had, my biggest accomplishment was this last baby, Levi. He was almost 10 pounds and was grown entirely on fruit and vegetables.
Wow.
So definitely researching through my own body, vegan pregnancy, raw food pregnancy has been amazing, and it's made it even better than I thought it could be.
That's really important, and I'd love to incorporate that into my childbirth classes. I wrote about it a bit in my book, Sexy Birth, about the journey to raw food and consuming a lot of living foods when you're pregnant and how beneficial it is. But, you're the living proof. A baby that's almost 10 pounds grown on vegan, high percentage of raw food, that's incredible to me.
Definitely the quickest, fastest, and painless birth, and I attribute it to the raw food diet.
Yeah, and I was definitely eating in such a way, not 100% raw, but a lot of raw foods with my last pregnancy, and it was also a painless birth. So there's some research we need to do, girl, about this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We have so many connections. We have so many ways in which our lives crisscross. We have so many connections. We have so much to talk about that I feel really grateful to have a friend like you in my life, just to be so supportive unconditionally, there no matter what. Always there to encourage me and be right by my side no matter what I'm doing, even with your busy life, whether it's a book signing, a book release party, you're there to even cater it. You've been by my side to birthdays, and I just really, really appreciate you as a human being, Christina, really. I love you.
Thank you so much. I love you too. That perfect friendship we have. Yeah, can you believe, we've just chatted and haven't even hit, half the bullet points that I wrote here? An hour has gone by.
I know, it's pretty amazing. I was just thinking the other day, I'm like, someday you and I are going to go to the farm, to Ina Mae Gaskin's. We're going to go to the farm, and I could see us there. I have so many birth friends, doulas and fellow doulas and childbirth educators. It would be so cool to go there and meet Ina Mae and talk about raw foods as far as pregnancy goes and surrogacy. All right, Christina, well, thank you so much. And
thank you.
I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Love you. Bye.
Love you.
Bye.